So good evening, everyone. On behalf of our students, faculty, staff members, and board of directors, welcome to opening night. At this time last year, I thought by now we all would have taken the road to Demarest and be toasting in the green studio over there. And here we are back in cyberspace. That said, I know, and I'm sure you feel it too, this is going to be an amazing weekend. Before I hand it over to the curators, I would like to express gratitude to all 29 artists who defined this year's exhibition. We know it's a demanding deadline and that working in clay requires imagination, skill, and time. Last night, Virgil Ortiz said, potters make art from earth. That's what we do. If I understand correctly, that's science, metaphor, and metaphysics rolled into one description of your artistic practice. The more I learn about your field, the more I'm moved by what you guys do. I also want to thank our administrative team here at the school, Heidi, Nancy, Annie, and Megan. We all owe much to their expertise, dedication, and patience, especially me with the patience part. Finally, I want to thank the curators for putting together an amazing show, and along the way, closing a gap in my lengthy art education. Karen Carnes and Michael Zakin created the celebration of ceramic artistry nearly a half century ago. My primary role tonight is to remind everyone that we here at the Art School at Old Church are committed to keeping it going forever. So please welcome Bruce Stainard, who is going to give the curator's letter.
Thanks, Jerry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good there. In 1974, Muhammad Ali and George Foreman faced off in their epic Rumble in the Jungle. Coincidentally, it was also the year I graduated from high school, luckily for my parents. Coming closer to why we're here tonight, 1974 was the year the founders of the Old Church Pottery Show and Sale, Michael Zakin and Karen Carnes, presented a new way to introduce master potters to the public. Theirs was an effort to help potters sustain creative lives while also helping Old Church pay its bills and continue to flourish in its mission to teach ways of making art to people of all ages. As many of you know, Zakin and Carnes connected through their deep passion for living a life surrounded by the handmade, and in particular, pots. Indeed, this show continues to be the air that they breathed. It's that important. As curators, Chris, Aisha, and I make every effort to continue in the spirit of Zakin's and Carnes' belief that by supporting potters, we can all in turn support communities far and wide. So while the immediate community of which Old Church is a part of is so obviously touched by the magic of this annual event, so too are the places from which the potters hail and those to where their pots are welcomed on to tables and given respect. It is through objects such as these that we have an opportunity to connect with each other regardless of time or space. We're always mindful of the opportunity we have to help shape this show and all it has come to represent. Expanding its community of artists and public is something Aisha, Chris, and I love doing. From introducing emerging artists and those of disparate communities to this year paying homage to a ceramist who is no longer with us. We appreciate this legacy. Kirk Mangus left all of us a legacy in the form of a very unique vision. We're privileged to include his work this year, an effort made possible by his wife and creative partner, Eva Kwong, who is also in this year's show. We're fortunate that Kirk taught at Alfred University, Cleveland Institute of Art, Cranbrook Academy of Art, and at Kent State University, because he left in situ several generations of some of this country's most dynamic and special makers of art. It gives us great joy to be amongst you. Forget this Zoom thing, we'll get past it. In the meantime, Chris, Aisha, and I extend our deep thanks to all of this year's artists, to Jerry James, Nancy Riley, Heidi Bakaz, Megan Carley, and Annie Shaw, who make the show happen, to the school's board of directors, and in normal years, the traffic cops. We'll see you next year, and thanks for joining us.
It's Chris here.
You have to get me on. Am I on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, well, Welcome, everyone. And it is really great to see everybody's face on the Zoom. It's been a long couple of years, and we haven't been able to get together, but we're doing it tonight via, a cyberspace. And tonight's opening event is a moment that Bruce, Aisha, and I, and everyone at Old Church have been thinking about for almost a year. Along with Jerry and the incredible staff and volunteers at Old Church, we thank you all for your hard work and generosity in being part of this year's wonderful event. These toasts that we're making tonight usually happen around tables in a restaurant somewhere in Demorest, New Jersey. With a lot of laughter, storytelling, and a great bit of joy, this group collectively celebrates what it means to be part of this community of potters. Some of you have been part of this show for years, while others only a few. But we are always bringing in new artists to shake things up a bit, to throw some new voices into the group that expand our conversation with clay. And tonight, we welcome all of you. Artists from around the country are always asking us, how do we apply? How do I get into this show? And my simple answer to them is, you don't apply. The beauty of this exhibition is that all of the artists are chosen through an organic process of discovery. The curators all bring insights to this process through our travels to different parts of the country, seeing work on social media and galleries and exhibitions, visiting artists in their studios, meeting artists on the fly, and of course, from recommendations from you and the staff. We all throw names on the table, and in that delightful process of discovery, build out the show with what we feel speaks to the breadth and innovation that is evident in the studio pottery traditions of American ceramics. We are living in exciting times when it comes to clay, with a wealth of form, color, surface, and process that all speaks to the most basic of human needs, the service of food. And in that service, whether it's literal or metaphorical, social or political, ceramics, in the hands of all of you, is alive and thriving. You all speak to a strong voice, all speak with a strong voice in your interpretation of the pot. And it's a delight to put you in the same virtual room together, a symphony of sorts of the textures and tones of what is happening in American clay today. It has been a pleasure to work with such curators as Bruce and Aisha, and we hope that you all find as much excitement in this year's selections of artists as we did.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. I'm Zooming to you tonight from my home in Southern Vermont, surrounded by many pots that have been part of this show in the past from the show. Thank you, Jerry, Bruce, and Chris for that amazing, for your amazing words about this show. It's really beautiful and great to hear. And I wish, like Chris said, we were standing together sharing those words, but hopefully next year. So it's great to see you and welcome you. And I do wish we were in person, but back in September when we were trying to figure this out, we made this conservative decision to be safe. And I think it probably was a good one. In the conceiving of this show, Karen recognized the potential for fundraising, but also the importance of providing an opportunity for potters to gather and to share not only the successes of their beautiful work that was on display, but also the complexities of being a potter, the trials, the challenges of kiln failures, glaze mishaps, and possibly or probably financial woes. Artists who have participated in this show in the past have voiced their deep appreciation for this time to gather. This foundation that Karen built has also helped to provide the audience a real sense of what goes into the making of this work, of the artists who made it, what they're thinking as they make aesthetic decisions, and what they're striving for in their pieces. So the sharing that occurs at this event is not only amongst the artists, but with the audience. And because of that has built an incredibly supportive community of pottery enthusiasts who are interested in seeing what each year's Old Church show will provide. Though we're online again this year and gathering is really different, we've tried to build in some ways to gather virtually. And I hope some of you have had a chance to attend the Zoom workshops by Virgil and Justin and Brenda, and might be able to join us tomorrow for the artist talks with Jack, Mark, Eva, and Sonam. Putting on this show is a collective effort, and in many ways, the part that Bruce, Chris, and I do of curating is the most fun. This year, we worked to select another show that brings together a variety of techniques and styles and ideas in the pots represented. And of course, I'm really, really excited about this year's show. This year's artists are masters. They're working at their highest level and they're showing you their best pieces. We welcome back longtime participants, some of whom have been in this show almost continuously since the beginning. And to see your work change over the years is a treat to us all. We also welcome new faces and can't wait to see what you have selected to share with us. This show, as we know, is never possible without the amazing group of staff and volunteers at Old Church who have worked really tirelessly to put this together. That's usually a heavy lift, literally moving tables out to turn the art school into a gallery. And this year it's been figuring out those online sales and uploading hundreds of images. So thank you for this dedication to this sale. And so now to toast. I raise my cup, made by Karen, who is in spirit always here with us. We thank you for being here, and we open our virtual doors to the 47th Old Church Pottery Show and Sale. Be well.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.